Commanders at Falcons. Kickoff Sunday, October 15th, 1 p.m. Eastern, over-under 42.5. Game Overview by Mike Johnson. Washington's defense has been shredded in recent weeks and is most vulnerable via the pass, but Atlanta's offense is built around the run. Only one Falcons game this season has combined for more than 40 points, while the Commanders have been part of 3 games through 5 weeks that featured 60 or more points. Sam Howell leads the league in sacks taken through 5 weeks, but the Falcons' defense ranks last in the league in sacks. Atlanta ranks top 10 in the NFL in man coverage rate, and the Washington receivers have struggled so far this season. The Falcons have not had much success through the air this season, but Washington is by far the worst pass defense they have seen to date. How Washington will try to win. The Commanders have thrown the ball at the second highest rate in the NFL through 5 weeks. A big part of that statistic has been game script, as they have fallen behind several times this season, including last week's embarrassing loss to the Bears. However, they have also shown a willingness to let Sam Howell throw the ball around the yard and are not afraid to play to a matchup's path of least resistance. This week, they face a Falcons team that ranks 7th in the NFL in run defense DVOA and 29th in pass defense DVOA. The Commanders have scored at least 20 points in 4 of 5 games this season, with the lone exception being their drubbing at the hands of the Bills in suboptimal weather conditions. The Falcons' defense is solid, but not on the same level as Buffalo. Head coach Ron Rivera would love to have a team built on their defense, but so far this year their defense has been extremely disappointing. At this point, the Commanders have to be aware that they are going to need to score 24 or more points to win most weeks. The Cardinals in Week 1 are the only team that Washington has held in check, and this Falcons team is more efficient than giving credit for. I would expect the Commanders to open this game with a balanced approach, but to be somewhat aggressive to try and get on top and or stay within striking distance early. Sam Howell has taken an egregious amount of sacks this season, and the Falcons defense ranks 5th in the NFL in both sacks and QB pressure rate. There will almost certainly be a priority for Washington to get the ball out of Howell's hands quickly, with their running backs, tight ends, and Curtis Samuel likely to be targeted often, rather than challenging the Falcons' very talented perimeter cornerbacks. A.J. Terrell is a former first-round pick who often takes on shadow coverage of the opponent's top wide receiver. Opposite him is D. Alford, who ranks 3rd out of 68 qualifying cornerbacks in PFF coverage grade. The Commanders have had a broad target distribution, and that should continue this week, with the perimeter receivers being in a tough matchup and Howell needing to get rid of the ball quickly. The Commanders would likely prefer to let Brian Robinson carry the load, but their defense has not shown the ability to let them have that type of game script this year. Robinson tends to dominate the workload on early downs and when the Commanders are ahead, while Antonio Gibson works in a pretty even split with him in negative game scripts. How Atlanta will try to win. The Falcons' offense is built around their running game first and foremost, with a focus on leveraging their approach to create explosive plays through both the run and pass. Their personnel is very good and fits what they are trying to do. They have 2 very good running backs, 2 athletic and versatile tight ends, an alpha wide receiver in Drake London, and an underrated wide receiver counterpart in Mac Hollins. Quarterback Desmond Ridder is coming off his best game of the season and now faces a defense that has been reeling. A couple of weeks ago, people were wondering if Justin Fields was even worthy of playing quarterback in the NFL, and he looked like Patrick Mahomes against the Commanders on a short week in Week 5. Given the explosive weapons this team possesses and the struggles that Washington has been having, we can't expect Atlanta to perform at a reasonable to above average level this week. The Commanders are below average against the run and downright awful against the pass. Atlanta's run-heavy game plans will certainly stay the same to start this game, but their calculated intermediate and downfield shots off of play action have a better chance than usual of hitting this week. The Commanders have been victimized by poor tackling and undisciplined defensive tendencies this season, and this Falcons attack is primed to pick them apart when they overcommit to expected running plays. Desmond Ridder is using his legs as a weapon, and sometimes a young quarterback just needs a game like Ridder had against the Texans to spark their confidence and get them rolling. The Falcons struggled in back-to-back weeks against the Lions and Jaguars, who are 2 very good teams with strong defenses. In their other 3 games, they have been very good, and they produced over 430 yards of total offense against both the Packers and Texans. Given the struggles of the Commanders' defense, I expect this Falcons offense to have their best offensive game of the year and cash in on their plethora of young, explosive talent. Likeliest game flow. This game has a relatively wide range of outcomes, as there is always the possibility of a poor Commanders' offensive showing, allowing the Falcons to play close to the vest and drain the clock. On the flip side, Commanders games have been fantasy gold so far this season, with 3 games totaling 60-plus points through 5 weeks, and Washington's last 4 opponents all scoring 33 or more points. The Falcons' offense and Arthur Smith get a bad rap for being too conservative, but they are built to have their explosive games against teams whom they can put on their heels. The Jags and Lions have top 5 run defenses and made Atlanta look feeble, but the Commanders' defense is bad enough against the run to set them up for explosive passing plays downfield. The Washington defense is likely too poor for the Falcons' offense to fail in this spot, but the overall scoring will depend on how much of a fight the Commanders can put up. If the Atlanta pass rush and perimeter corners expose Howell, it will be an ugly, low-scoring win for the Falcons. If Washington's offense is able to put up some first-half points, however, the game has a wide range of outcomes thanks to the explosive potential on both sides of the ball and the powder keg that Washington seems to provide for game environments.